I'm Silan, Mr. Lee's youngest daughter. We came to Liverpool from Guangzhou in 1983. I was 13 years old. That was the year when my father set up the Chinese Youth Orchestra. It was based here at the Pagoda, which was opened in 1982.
I first met Mr. Lee in the early 80s when I was the community education officer for Toxteth in the South Inner City. And the Pagoda was one of the centres I liaised with. And I arrived one day to find this little man with the big smile and his wife and his two daughters who'd just arrived from China at the end of the Cultural Revolution. We interviewed him for the post of musical director at the Pagoda. Very soon he'd started this wonderful magical orchestra with children from as young as 3 or 4 up to about 16, 17, all playing these strange oriental instruments, which to Liverpool was a new conception. But very quickly it became part of the Liverpool multicultural heritage.
The Youth Orchestra is based in the Chinese Community Centre, which I'm the manager of the centre for years, so I saw them at first hand when they first started. People always think the Chinese keep themselves to themselves, and but through the music and the culture, the Chinese community will be able to project a bit further than their own community, and so the local community can enjoy the Chinese New Year, the music and the heritage.
My name's Kelly, I'm 15 years old and I've been to the orchestra for 4 years, and I play the dahu, which is invented by Mr. Lee.
Mr. Lee can play and teaches all the instruments in the orchestra, but he developed this instrument and it is called the dahu.
大胡喺我讀大學嘅時候，我了解到社會上已經分開咗兩個唔同解決嘅辦法。一個咧就係即係民族音樂需唔需要低音？咁大家都係一致係同意話要低音嘅。咁只不過就係一個就係借重西洋樂器嘅cello啊，或者係 double bass 啊，用佢哋嘅低音嚟代替。另一個咧就係用翻我哋本身民族音樂樂器嘅樂器嚟代替，即係同埋一個 family 同埋一個家族裏邊嚟解決。咁我當時同埋我嘅老師都係傾向於係用翻我哋民族樂器嚟解決嘅，所以我喺中國從事音樂嘅時候，亦都係夢寐以求應該係如何使我哋嘅民族樂器可以發展低音。嚟到咗利物浦，乜嘢都冇得做，非常得閒咁嘅情況下，就係諗到我可以利用啲時間我嚟發展我哋嘅大胡。
Liverpool Youth Music was a really good youth training scheme. It was for 2 years for students between the ages of 16 and 21. We were part and parcel of making percussion instruments with the Chinese community. The main base of this unit was constructed out of different materials that Mr. Lee used to come in and explain exactly how he wanted it. So he had quite a specialism around how it needed to be weight and size and colour. And he would explain that he would like softwood and hardwood going right the way around, and it to be shaped in a certain way on the lathe. The back is made of quite decorative boxwood timber, and it's been all hand carved, well cut out with a fret saw and smoothed over by the students. And you can see that the effect is very decorative, but it also channels out the sound.
One of the most unforgettable times was when we went to London for the school prom and played at the Royal Albert Hall. We were so proud to be recognized alongside all the other orchestras. We even appeared on Blue Peter.
I went down to London with this wonderful group of very well-behaved, quiet but buzzy young people. They performed perfectly on Blue Peter and then went the following day to the Albert Hall, where there was a very, very broad church of music going from jazz bands to symphonies and all sorts, and the Chinese Youth Orchestra was very much one of the stars of the show.
The Royal Albert Hall, we went to school proms, and because the hall was so big, we've never played in such a big place before. It was like playing on your own because because of the space. You can't hear the next person. It sounded like you're playing solo all the time. It was quite nerve-wracking.
The two of us are from the Wirral, where there really weren't very many Chinese people at all.
I didn't really appreciate the benefits until I left, actually. And I guess it's.
But it's also just like language, culture, food,
yeah, you
identity.
learn a lot more. You learn
and you do
a
it
lot
all
more.
together, I think,
Yeah.
because I know certainly growing up there was a bit of a sense of otherness, as in, you know, not being the same as the other people in my school.
Actually, I thought everyone spoke Chinese when they went home. I didn't think there was a difference.
I suppose I've known the Chinese Youth Orchestra for not all of its 30 years, but for many of them about 25, I suppose. And I first got to know them when I came to Liverpool in 1990, but I got to know them especially well when we did a China festival. This is the programme for the festival that we organised way back in 1993, and it followed on the visit to Liverpool that I'd initiated by the then Mayor of Shanghai, Huang Zhu. And the whole thing, when I look back at it now, I think did quite a lot for Liverpool and the Chinatown.
My name's Kelly Wong. I am 10 years old. I have been to the orchestra for about 4 years.
My name's called Jaden Sue. I am 7.5. I came here for 2 years.
My name is Emily. I'm 9 years old. I've been to the orchestra for 4 years.
有個老師，我自己有老師，好全心全意咁教佢哋，仲有一批好全心全意嘅學生學先能夠成功嘅。咁即係喺英國呢30多年裏邊咧，就我充分感到跟我學嗰啲細路仔，特別係佢嘅爸爸媽媽係非常非常支持嗰啲細路仔學翻佢自己嘅蔡德順佬嘅，即係個傳統中國傳統嘅音樂同埋中國嘅傳統藝術。
佢叫做葉燕儀，佢又吹笛嘅。我叫佢嚟學音樂咧，就想佢即係識多啲中文啊，同埋學多啲中國文化嗰啲嘢。同時咧又可以交流啲朋友啊。
I brought my children here in 1986. They feel happy to talking when they are small, how they playing and how to play the tune or something like that, or go out to have a presentation like BBC they do it, or go to Albert Dock to Austria there to show people. They're happy to thinking of that memory.
We all really like Chinese culture, so that's the main thing that why we come.
And music, we like music, so just want to learn like new skills.
It's like a whole new world because it's like you never heard this music ever before, and it's very traditional. It's like an imagination better than yours, so it's like you have a whole new dream.
大社會裏邊對我哋嘅支持亦都係好大嘅。利物浦各大社團對我哋嘅工作係可以講係無限量咁支持，俾我哋好多嘅機會。更加重要嘅就係英國政府同埋 Art Council， 佢一路都係支持我哋嘅，即係可以講係各方面一齊努力嘅成果。
We support the orchestra and we support Pagoda Arts, the organisation, because of the really interesting work that they do, the really distinctive work. They are certainly unique in our portfolio. They're unique in the UK. As far as I know, they're still the only Chinese youth orchestra in the UK.
My name is Kieran and I am 8. I've been here for 2 years. My instrument is called the Seow Yun and it has 4 strings.
This is the oldest Chinese community in Europe, in Liverpool, And it's really important to have something that's kind of the community and of the city, which we can be proud of. And for young people to be the bearers of that is incredibly important, because it says this is a community not just with a past, but also a future.
My name is Hyun Wang. I'm 18 years old. My instrument is called the pipa. It's a 4-string instrument, and you play with your fake nails, just to get a louder and a sharper sound.
I imagine if you walked up to the average person on the street and asked them if they could name one instrument in a Chinese youth orchestra or a Chinese classical orchestra, they would say no. So they get to see something that they've never seen before. And the music, I find personally, the music's really uplifting. It just uses such beautiful melody, and the sounds, particularly the flute sounds, they're wonderful, they're beautiful. So they'll get something different, but yet something really uplifting.
Liverpool's a city with a great musical heritage, and this is just something else in terms of our musical heritage. You know, we've got the Beatles and the Chinese Youth Orchestra. It's pretty good.
When I got married, my husband and I settled up here with my 2 sons, so they can be close to my family and be part of the Chinese Youth Orchestra.
Sometimes they're coming in and start playing on Erhu or whatever. They'd be playing a tune they'd done that day, and I'd hear them play the tunes and recordings of these old, mainly Cantonese songs. And in the end, it just got right in my head. So I'd go out walking, and that song would be in my head. I can still remember a couple of the tunes now. You know, and as I'm wont to do when I've got a melody, I start putting a bass line to it. So I casually said to Zita, my wife, one day, I could put a beat like that, you know, I could put a good rhythm part to that. So I love that tune. And she said, maybe I could sort something out, maybe get a bit of grant money or something to record a couple of tunes, and that's how it started.
It was 2008, a fairly special year for Liverpool as the capital of culture, and a fabulous year for the Pagoda Chinese Youth Orchestra. It was the year Chinese dub was created.
And that's how Chinese dub started. It was a little acorn that grew over the course of a year or so into a full-blown sort of, a performance with the youth orchestra, but we brought in performers from China, brought all my musicians in, so it was a big full-blown tour, culminated in doing WOMAD. We did the one performance in Liverpool with the youth orchestra, as I recall, and then we went out on the road with it. And I can remember the first show that we did, which was London, I think, after playing Liverpool, and it was everybody remembers the Chinese mask changes from Sichuan, and they do this incredible mask changing thing. And I remember people squealing with delight and fear because it's almost scary. And I just remember standing back in that part of the set where they did their thing, and we'd wait for them to do the thing, and then we'd come in really, behind them playing. And that's my big overriding memory, is of wondering how these mask changes would go down, and it was even better than I could ever imagined.
Yes! 2010 was the year of the Shanghai Expo, and the Pagoda Chinese Youth Orchestra was one of the highlights in China. The young musicians were thrilled to be part of it all.
我哋嘅兒童樂隊最輝煌嘅時候應該係有兩個時間段，一個就係我哋喺倫敦嘅Albert Hall，職業嘅音樂家都係好想上嘅舞台，咁我哋兒童樂隊係有機會上咗去。另一個就係上海世博會，我哋能夠代表利物浦參加呢個演出，亦係我哋非常非常值得紀念嘅日子。
We went to China in 2010, and I think it was like about 2,000 people there. It's like when you did a solo, it's quite scary as well.
Probably the moment a lot of us were most proud of them was when Liverpool went to the expo in Shanghai, and they were the best ambassadors we could have taken, really. So I think that's probably the thing that will sit with a lot of us as their biggest achievement.
There were going to be two pieces played by the youth orchestra alongside the adults, the Royal Liverpool Philharmonic Orchestra. So the two pieces that were chosen were both from the regular repertoire of the youth orchestra. There was Flower Blossom Under the Full Moon and Parading the Generals, two traditional Chinese tunes which were known in arrangements that Mr. Lee had put together. So they already sort of knew those pieces. And what I had to do, I came in to listen to them rehearsing and to realise what they were doing and work out all the speeds and work out the sort of the different moods of the different sections. And then I had recordings of them, and I basically had to sort of write them down and then work out the best way that a 70-piece Western orchestra could slot into what Pagoda was doing.
It was really an opportunity for Liverpool to market ourselves to the world, and particularly China. It's very important for us. We're a city that's been through tough times. We're still facing quite tough times, but we're trying to keep going, and we want to attract inward investment, and Chinese investment is potentially a very big part of that. And they were far better than any individual ambassadors, far better than politicians, businessmen or talking heads. They, in a sense, took to China a bit of Liverpool that China could also recognise itself. So I think that was what they did that was special.
One of the most exciting things that Pagoda does is work with other musicians and other musical styles. So they are predominantly a classical orchestra, but when they work with other musicians and styles such as grime and dubstep, I mean, firstly, I think it's really interesting for the young people, especially if they're interested in that genre. And I know in the Jasmine Flower project, it came from the young people. They wanted to work and cross classical music with grime, and so I think it's great that they have that artistic input.
I first joined the orchestra because I wanted to learn drums, and my granddad ran it as well, so I play the yantin and the drum kit, and my favourite one is the drum kit. They said they wanted to do a project with that because everyone was getting bored of doing the same songs over and over again, so they just wanted to do something different. So I said that I'd like to produce it, and then they let me. I get inspired by listening to hip-hop artists such like Kendrick Lamar or Black Collins, or grime producers like Maniac, or MCs like Scorch or people like that. I normally start with either the bass sound or a drum sound. This line here is all my drum beats, so and then I've got all my bass sounds here, or melodies as well. But when we played it in the Philharmonic Hall, I felt nervous because no one really ever heard my music before. And I'm a bit shy as well, so but at the end of it, I was pretty proud of myself.
I think for audiences, it really makes a different offer. So if you're not sure what you're going to see when you go and see the Pagoda Chinese Youth Orchestra, you're probably right, because you don't know what you're going to see, which I think is fantastic. It's really innovative and interesting.
The Pagoda Chinese Youth Orchestra has come a long way since its beginning in 1983, And the future holds so many exciting opportunities and new adventures.